Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Leisure Suit Larry 3, where, we're standing outside the comedy club. So, let's go in. And, alright, let's have a look. The world famous comedy hut is filled with people having a mildly uproarious time. Alright, let's talk to these people. Talk, man. These people are here to see the comedian, not you. Find a seat, Larry. Enjoy yourself. Okay. What about this person? Author interface. Just say what you want to say. Okay. Something that I noticed that I've say a lot on these videos is alright. That's more like alright. Hey, I've got an idea. How if you and I sit in a comedy club and we make Larry walk up to us and say something like, alright, or rigged, as I wrote. Alrighty, says Bill. Are you crazy? No way, that's so lame. Larry would never say that. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I suppose you're right, says Al. That's not a good idea. Let's get out of here. Alright. Really? Yeah, I've got some points for that. Okay. So let's sit down and let's watch the comedy show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the world famous Comedy Hut is proud to present a legend in his own mind, Paul Paul. Hey. Good evening, ladies and germs. Maya says Paul. Welcome. Always snappy the starter. Sorry. Okay, folks, we're going to try something a bit different tonight. Tell me the name of your 3 favorite ethnic groups. It doesn't matter to me which we choose. I've not got enough jokes to insult anyone. Is this where the ethnic offense can come in? Okay, ethnic group. Oh, what ethnic groups can I do? Alright, so I live in Australia, so I'm gonna write Australian. Group 2. Well, my dad is of Scottish descent. Number 3, and my mother is Vietnamese. Alright. Thank you. Do you know why Scottish stadiums all have artificial grass? To keep the cheerleaders from grazing during halftime. An Australian woman was on her way home to the market, was carrying a duck when the drunk staggered up to her and said, "Hey, where'd you get that pig?" The Australian woman replied, "You're drunken fool, that's no pig, it's a duck." And the drunk said, "Quiet, Australian, I was talking to the duck." Oh, ho, 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 ho. Why did the chicken cross the basketball court? He heard the referee was blowing fouls. A man complained to his doctor, "Doc, my wife lost her interest in sex." The doctor replied, "Say no more, old friend. I've just got what you need. Just slip her one of these little pills and stand back." That night, the man dropped a couple of pills into his wife's glass of wine and he thought, "These pills are so great, maybe I should take a couple myself." Nothing happened. The evening passed uneventfully and they both went to bed. Then, about 1 o'clock, his wife suddenly sat up in bed and announced, "I want a man." And then the man woke up and said, "Me too." Do you hear about the Vietnamese man who was so lazy? He's married a pregnant woman. My wife bought us a new waterbed. I call it the Dead Sea. Do you know where a Vietnamese family hides its money? Under the soap. How do you sink an Australian battleship? Put it in water. A young lumberjack was a terrible accident with a chainsaw and went to the doctor's office for stitches. As the doctor began to apply anaesthetic to the lumberjack, laughed. "Doc, you won't be needing any maid killers for a little while with a wound like this." The doctor replied, Son, this is going to hurt a lot. Are you sure?" "Of course I'm sure," said the lumberjack. "Why, in my entire life I've only felt pain twice. Once when I squatted down to relieve myself in the woods and my testicles got caught in a bear trap." The doctor cried, "My God, that's terrible. What was the second time?" "When I reached the end of that chain." Once I had this great thing going with this Eskimo girl. Unfortunately, she broke it off. Do you know how they take a census in Vietnamese neighborhood? Easy, flood the basements. Do you know how to get 25 Scottish people guys in the phone booth? Throw in $1. I just learned the difference between oral sex and sushi. It's the rice. What is 2 hours of begging? Australian foreplay. Good. An elderly couple who were just finishing their annual physical exam. Their doctor proclaimed them as perfect health. The wife said, "But doctor, what can we do? I'm afraid we're going to catch this AIDS virus." The doctor responded, "Don't worry, there's no way you could be in a high-risk group." "But doctor," she replied, "remember, we do have annual sex." My wife is so ugly. A peeping Tom threw up on our window ledge. Oh, God. Have you tried that new Japanese Jewish restaurant yet? It's called Susumi. A Scottish man was so stupid. He studied all weekend for his urine test. Oh boy. A Vietnamese man was talking with a Scottish man. "I'm so unlucky." The Scottish man asked, "Really? Why do you say that?" "Why, just last night this beautiful hunchback girl stood me up, and after I brought her flowers, dug the hole and everything." How do you tell the difference between a dead dog and a dead Australian lying in the middle of the highway? There's skid marks in front of the dog. And I'm not sure how long this goes for. How can you tell the Scottish pirate? He wears an eye patch on both eyes. Once the Vietnamese football team played the Australian football team. At the end of the 3 quarters, the score was tied, 0-0. Just then a train went by. The Vietnamese team heard the whistle and thought the game was over and went home. 6 plays later, the Australian team scored. Do you know how to tell the groom at a Vietnamese wedding? He's the one with the clean bowling shirt. These guys went to the stranded... These three guys were standing together on a desert island. The Vietnamese guy finds Aladdin's lamp buried in the sand. He says, "I wish I were home," and poof, he vanishes off into thin air. Well, the Australian man grabs the lamp and says, "I wish I were home too." Poof, he vanishes, leaving the Scottish man holding the lamp. The Scottish guy says, "Gee, now it's lonely here. I wish they hadn't left me." Do you know what the best thing about sleeping alone? You can have sex anytime you want it. What's the difference between 2 terrorists and 2 Australian women with PMS? You can negotiate with terrorists. Did you hear about the unlucky Vietnamese guy? He filed for divorce because he lived in a 2-story house. One story was, "I'm not in the mood," and the other was, "I got a headache." Oh, God. Ay, 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 ay. Do you know how to recognise Scottish Virgin? She's the one that can run faster than her brothers. 6 months ago, my wife had her credit card stolen. Tonight, I learned this Vietnamese guy took it. But I'm not going to turn him in. He spends a lot less per month than she did. Do you know how to recognize the bride at a Vietnamese wedding? She's the one with the braided armpit hair. No, we're not very hairy. An Australian man called his wife and said, "Honey, I've got the doctor's office. I just finished my exam and says I've only got 12 hours to live." His wife replies, "Oh, sweetheart, that's terrible news. What will we do?" The Australian man said, "I thought tonight we should have one great last fling. Fancy dinner, a show, dancing and everything. Then we'll check into a hotel and make love all night." And the wife replied, "Easy for you to say. You don't have to get up in the morning." Do you hear about the Vietnamese guy who last won the gold medal in the last Olympics? He had it bronzed. Do you know why the Australian guys have been stealing all those police cars lately? They saw the 911 and thought they were Porsches. No 911 in Australia. Why did the Scottish pervert cross the road? Because he was stuck to the back of a chicken. Ugh, disgusting. Disgusting! An Australian man walked into a bar with a pig under his arm. The bartender said, "Did you win him in a raffle?" And the pig replied, "Yep." Do you know the most dangerous job in the Vietnamese neighbourhood? Riding shotgun on the garbage truck. Did I tell you the one about the Australian guy who was messing around with his sister-in-law? He really had it in for his brother. A 70-year-old man was in his doctor's office sobbing uncontrollably. "Doc, you gotta help me. I just recently married a 21-year-old gorgeous girl built like a brick shipyard, and all she wants to do all day long is have sex with me." So the doctor replies, "Some problem. So why do you need my help?" "I can't remember where I live." When I was a teenager, I stopped at the drugstore and purchased some necessary supplies. I told the pharmacist, "Better give me a dozen. I've got a hot date tonight with a school tramp." When I got to a house, the mother insisted I join them for dinner. I offered to stay grace and prayed and prayed. When I finished, my date leaned over me and said, "Why, Paul, I had no idea you were so religious." I replied, "I had no idea your father was a pharmacist." Do you know how to break a Vietnamese man's finger? Ha, I remember this one. Punch him in the nose? Yeah. Yesterday I went to the meat department in the new Cannibal supermarket downtown Nontonite Mall. They were running a special on human brains. Vietnamese brains were $4.99 per pound, Australian brains were $6.99 per pound, and Scottish brains were $39 per pound. I asked the butcher, "Vietnamese are $4.99 a pound and Australian brains are $6.99 per pound. How could Scottish brains be $39 a pound?" He replied, "Do you know how many Scottish guys have got to get through to get a pound of brains?" Good. Do you know the worst thing about an atheist? You have no one to talk to when you're having an orgasm. Do you know who won the Vietnamese beauty pageant? No one. Oh, ouch. And now, says the comic, because you've been so patient, I'd like to do my famous impersonation of a duck. And it goes a little something like this. I think this is the end. Yeah. Oop. No, I'm not saved now. Yeah, we did it. We sat through the whole routine. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul. Look, he's getting a sitting ovation. Alright. Now we can stand. And we can leave here for now. Alright. So one thing I want to do is go to the beach. So I remember I tried to use the towel before, but for some reason the game wouldn't let me. So let's use towel. Okay. Let's just save right here. The tropical sun warms you all over. You know, I could get a nice suntan here. Your tan now looks marvelous. Let's just save. Let's just see what happens if we just lie here. I'm sure it'll be alright. As the tropical sun slices a hole through your seriously depleted ozone layer directly above the pollution of nontonite, you seem to remember reading an article somewhere about UV overexposure being dangerous. Some guys never learn. Another case of extremely burnt out. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Alright. So let's... Have we... Oh, shit. Done it again. Okay, now let's stand. Alright, so that's the points we got for there. Let's go. I think that's everything I can do for now before we head in to see the Non-Tonight show. Okay, so let's give tickets. Okay. You say, "Excuse me, sir, but I'd like to see tonight's show. I have a copy of Non-Tonight right here." Oh, really? Well, for tonight's show, I'm only allowed to accept free passes from our ad page on page 5. What is the number? The pass on that page. My pass number is 55811. Let me look through this list of passes and numbers. Well, well, very good, sir, says the mighty D. His tone and mannerisms changed entirely. But I must have made a mistake. It appears there are no more seats available for this show. I'm so sorry, but perhaps something will open up later. And yeah, doing the hand thing means the taxes. Or means give man 20. Melody replies, and just what am I supposed to do with that? Give the man $20. Why, thank you very much, sir. Well, well, look at this. I seem to have found a nice front row seat available here. Allow me to show you to your seat. Alright, let's watch the show. You quickly make your way through the crowd of men and take one of the few remaining seats near the rear of the showroom. The announcer's voice booms over the public address system. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, the star of our show, Miss Cherry Tart! Evidently, the men in the audience like Cherry's act, and they begin to toss dollar bills on the stage. Oh, it's a lot of dollar bills flying. Isn't she wonderful, ladies and gentlemen? Screams the announcer. Let's really hear it for our own Cherry Tart. That concludes our tonight's 2-hour spectacle. Not tonight for you. You must clear the auditorium now, and our second show begins shortly. Good seats are still available, so tell your friends. He concludes with the trite, good night, and walk safely on your way home. What a show, eh, Larry? Too bad you came in so late. You only saw the last minute. Ugh, I want my $20 back. What a show, eh, buddy? Slaps the maitre d'. And how about that cherry tart? Alright, so let's just save here. And that will do for the video. See you in the next one.